Part 5. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 41. After the agreement, Shen Xian began to prepare magic crystals. In addition to 3,000 units to be paid by himself, the remaining 7,000 units had to rely on the surrounding players. MK's Camp. This is a newly built market with a rough and simple architectural style, with a unique flavor of the dwarves. Although you can see the traces of newly cut stones, it has become a well-known trading market. The Fallen Temple can buy anything you want, but not everyone is stupid enough to buy anything and run to the Fallen Temple. The prices in the system's main city are absolutely cheap, but the transportation costs are unbearable. If you are an experienced player, you will usually look for a nearby trading place to negotiate the price there, and maybe you can get a bargain. Several ground dragons loaded with goods slowly arrived at the market. Under the command of the dwarves, the owners of the ground dragons came to their respective stalls, put up signs, and waited for suitable buyers. Those who come here may be players or NPCs. In short, based on the principle of fair trade, dozens of deals can be concluded here every day. In addition to maintaining the order and safety of the market, MK collects a 5% transaction tax, which is accepted by the majority of players and also brings him a good reputation. The market is located at the foot of the mountain, clearly separated from the center of the camp. Except for a wide gravel path, there is almost no connection between the two. The center connects to the dome of the earth, which is full of neat dwarf caves. Simple fences firmly surround the caves. Several dwarf infantrymen wearing plate armor look solemn and stand like a mountain. The market is bustling with people. There are not only hundreds of players within 100 kilometers, but also merchants from NPC villages. It can be said to be very lively. When he came here, Shen Xian was slightly surprised. Thinking that he could complete the task, his heart was full of hope. Welcome, my friend. MK is a player with a talent for role-playing. Simply put, he tried to integrate his character into the world of the game and make his behavior and words conform to the norms of the dwarves. Dwarves are enthusiastic and honest. There are not many merchants among them. MK still gets the respect of the dwarven forces. Not only did he get many special mission opportunities, but his business was also able to expand rapidly and affect nearby players. If you listen in the players' tavern, you can find that they will talk about a dwarf village not far away, where you can buy items necessary for adventure. This is the benefit of improved reputation. Although Shen Xian's reputation is very high, it is not reflected in business. Usually NPCs think he has great potential and is capable, and there are few special evaluations. The largest transaction volume in the market is resources. Often players ignore the production of balanced resources, resulting in a serious shortage of certain resources. I came here just to buy some resources, Shen Xian said, and delivered the mushroom food he brought for acceptance. Then, Xiao Yunruo accompanied him to go shopping. About dozens of stalls opened dozens of resources for sale. In addition, there were large orders of weapons, potions, and books. But Shen Xian seemed not to worry about time. He walked from here to there and returned from there to here, which made Miss Xiao's head explode. Going shopping with a woman is a scary thing. Xiao Yunruo never thought that going shopping with a man would also make people crazy. Could it be that he likes shopping very much? She speculated privately, but she was not sure in her heart. Be reserved, she told herself, but she really wanted to treat Shen Xian well with magic, because he was too annoying. Shen Xian repeatedly asked the player about the resource price, but still did not make a final decision. Seeing that Miss Xiao looked a little murderous, she immediately said, "Do you want a signed photo of selling body without selling art?" "Yes." "Why not?" Miss Xiao answered unhappily, thinking that selling body without selling art is a big name in the Chinese online game industry, with tens of millions of fans, who would not want his signed photo. Shen Xian nodded, and then continued to study. Thinking that the title photo of Selling Body Without Selling Art is not available if you want it? Selling Body Without Selling Art had traded with Fatty many times in the past, of course, contracts, photos, signatures, whatever you want, you want. Shen Xian is checking the current resource price. The resource prices in various regions of the country change at any time, giving profiteers the possibility of reselling. As long as you have useful information, you can easily make a lot of money. In the underground world, the price of wood continues to be sluggish. Except for dwarves, dark elves, demons, and other races who like stone buildings, the wood production in the underground world itself is not high. Stone is a strategic material. Whether it is an arrow tower or a city wall, a maze, or a fortress, there are too many places where stone is used. The prices of rare resources such as mithril, gems, crystals, and refined gold are still in an unstable stage. Players often offer mithril at a price of 10,000 gold, but no one is interested. Shen Xian is looking for sellers of magic crystals, but there don't seem to be many, or the price is too high, so he can't bear to invest. He wandered around and soon found a stall selling magic crystals. This is the territory of the Dark-Scale Fishmen. The Dark-Scale Fishmen tribe is an NPC force living in the dark swamp of the underground world. Their strength is not very strong. The whole village has a population of about 2,000. They live on mushrooms and mudfish produced in the dark swamp and worship the lake god Anafen. Swamp Walker Slow looked eagerly at the busy streets, wondering when he could sell the magic crystals he brought. It seemed that the dungeon masters were not very interested in magic crystals. The arrogant mages disdained to come to such a remote place. However, he suddenly saw a possible business and stood up immediately. Shen Xian grabbed the magic crystal sample behind Slow and observed it in the dim light. He found that the ore was crystal clear, with undried water droplets on the surface, which was dazzling under the light. It was actually dug out from the bottom of the swamp. This is the sign of made by Murlocs. He sighed and finally knew why no one was interested in his goods after checking the price. Barter: use magic crystals to exchange for weapons and equipment. The weapon business is often difficult for players to balance. They are afraid that the other party will attack them after obtaining weapons, and they also want to make a fortune through weapon trading. This is undoubtedly the most likely for dozens of players around the dark-scale Murloc tribe. But Shen Xian was not afraid. The fishmen were bound by water sources. Even if they wanted to expand, they would not reach the dry Dusk Hills. Moreover, they were nearly 100 kilometers apart. What was there to worry about? Attacking by borrowing a route was always a taboo in military strategy. Unless they were gradually eroding, Shen Xian would definitely have the ability to protect himself by then. Shen Xian's advantage was that he had a large number of weapons and food reserves. He originally developed faster than other players, and he was able to take the opportunity to establish an advantage. Online game Dungeon Master. Author: Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 42. He asked Mysterylan about the weapons and food reserves in the territory and got the following data. 5,210 units of food, 253 weapons. The weapons that fishmen often use are javelins and daggers. He will not sell the enchanted daggers and javelins. Enchanted weapons have always been the secrets of each city and rarely circulate outside. Slow used standard dark language. Thanks to Anafen, he could actually understand what humans meant. He made a devout worship gesture, thanked the god of the lake, took the human's weapon, and checked the attributes. The dark-scaled fishmen urgently need weapons because there are too many forces around them. Although the fishmen are not a race that is good at expansion, they are not cowards like cavemen. Weapons can quickly improve the combat effectiveness of the fishmen, but the fishmen cannot forge weapons, and even rarely mine minerals, so weapons need to be purchased from outside. Bronze cross sword? Si Luo was surprised to check the weapon in his hand. He found that the blade was slender and the hilt was strong, which was very suitable for the short fishmen. The fishmen were taller than the dwarves known as stumps, but compared with humans, the conventional weapons of humans were not suitable for them. Sci blinked and hugged the bronze cross-sword tightly to express his satisfaction. Shen Xian saw it and smiled, and the two continued to negotiate the price. 7,000 units of magic crystals, 100 bronze cross-swords. Shen Xian proposed the price. On the market, 100 bronze cross-swords are worth 100 gold/piece, and 7,000 units of magic crystals are worth 10 gold/unit. There is no one else nearby who can do big business except Shen Xian. Sci thought, thinking that the tribe could provide 5,000 units of magic crystals and 150 swamp walkers who could fight, and proposed 5,000 units of magic crystals, 150 bronze cross swords. Shen Xian thought, this fishman will not expose his old bottom. 5,000 units is the total amount of magic crystals, and 150 pieces are the weapons required. It seems to be correct. The price is of course reasonable, but all businessmen are dishonest. How can the transaction be easily satisfied with this? In the territory, the bronze cross-sword has long been unable to meet the needs of swordsmen. In order to develop the swordsman's job transfer, blade dancer or blade warrior, it is necessary to prepare weapons, armor, and accessories of the corresponding level. The minimum level of the blade dancer is 30, and the condition is a medium quality longsword of level 25, such as the iron wing cross sword, silver scale leather armor, and black glyph leather pants. This combination can meet the equipment requirements for job transfer. Iron wing cross sword, excellent, attack power 80, attack speed enhanced 10%, hit 5, kill 5, condition level 22. Silver scale leather armor, excellent, defense 25, strength 10, agility 10, constitution 10, condition level 18. Black carved leather pants, ordinary, defense 18, life 50, fighting spirit 50. If Shen Xian were to choose, he would most want to exchange the bronze cross-sword for meaningful goods as much as possible. 5,000 units of magic crystals, 100 bronze cross-swords, that's all the weapons Shen Xian had in reserve. The rest were not long swords, so he couldn't sell them to Slow. Slow was very anxious. Thinking that the tribe might be attacked, he wanted to complete the transaction quickly. His expression was slightly anxious, which was seen by the two. Deal. Slow saw that the two showed no signs of letting go, and gritted his teeth and agreed. There is no need to worry about exchanging items. Slow called several level 30 dark scale hunters and swamp walkers to deliver the small magic crystal package, and then went to his territory to receive the goods. Shen Xian did not carry weapons with him. Wouldn't it be conspicuous? There are so many bronze cross swords that can easily arm an army. On the way, haha, Miss Xiao, I thought you would bargain with Slow. You didn't give me a chance, Miss Xiao retorted. How about the remaining 2,000 units of magic crystals for me to handle? As you wish. Shen Xian smiled secretly. The two continued to wander with gold. Players would come forward to sell in the busy market. Come and see, 20 pieces of thunder lizard skin, good stuff. Excellent raw materials for sewing leather armor, only 150 gold each. Don't miss it if you pass by. One piece of brilliance, with range purification effect, rare item, must have for adventure, first choice for AoE. For sale are statues of magical creatures. If you have read Dark Elves written by Old S.A., come and see. The magic cat accessories are of the same race as the leopard, and they are sold in limited quantities. The players shouted loudly, one after another. Miss Xiao snorted coldly, walked to the mage who was reading the magic book with his head down, and asked, how much are the magic crystals? Ah, the mage wearing a black hood and crystal glasses looked up and was stunned. Beauty, he muttered to himself, thinking that he should be calm, but the young mage did not give him a chance, and raised her voice several degrees. How much are the magic crystals? 15 gold/unit, the mage answered hesitantly. He got these magic crystals after brushing them in a scorpion nest for a long time. 15? So expensive? How about cutting off the decimal? Miss Yao tried to make herself look tough, so that those players with bad intentions would be deterred. The mage had no interest in her. Who told him that he was a geek who liked comics and games? He had never even touched a girl's hand. He heard that he could have sex in Kingdom, so he joined the online game world. Okay, the mage stammered, thinking that the price of 10 gold/unit was acceptable, and he could also meet beautiful women, so it was not a loss. 15 minus the decimal is 1, there are 324 units here, I'll take it. Miss Yao quickly put the magic crystal into the package and left in a flash. After a long time, the mage came to his senses and realized that this was what it meant to minus the decimal. He regretted it. In just a moment, Miss Yao relied on her beauty to close several deals, and her efficiency was quite high. Shen Xian looked at her with satisfaction, touched his chin, and wondered if he should go to the Dark Elves' territory to use his beauty advantage. Although he felt good about himself, the Dark Elf main city, which was gloomy, terrifying, and filled with betrayal and trickery, was not something he could go to. It was like the fallen temple. If you don't have enough reputation, you may become a corpse. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 43. The Ruins of the Elemental Gate. After receiving the magic crystal, Phillips looked heavy. I'm afraid I won't appear here again. He slowly dissipated without explaining any reason. The mission was completed, and Shen Xian received 2,000 experience points and access to the surrounding buildings of the Gate of Elements. But where did Phillips go? He looked at the translucent figure that disappeared and slowly raised his head, thinking that it would be a good idea to find Wendy. Not all tasks will have prompts. The more hidden the tasks, the more players need to dig deeper and make bold guesses. Interacting with NPCs and searching for the history of annihilation can reveal the mystery of the mission. Such missions often have hidden and unique instructions. If you receive such a mission, congratulations to the player. As long as you withstand the test, what awaits you will be an artifact, a holy species that all players dream of. Shen Xian still remembers that when he and Fatty competed in Clash of the Immortals 2 years ago, it took him half a year to complete the task. During this period, he borrowed the manpower from all the heavens, studied the history of the game, invested real money, and after many twists and turns, completed the task. The lost clues were integrated and unified, finally launching the third round of world tasks in the game. Of course, as a task completer, he received a lot of rewards both in reality and in the game. Mist Aaron and Xiao Yunruo were still waiting obediently. However, in comparison, Mist Aaron likes to study the structure and layout of the Mage Tower, while Miss Xiao focuses on the appearance and secrets of the Mage Tower. Be careful. There are magic traps everywhere here, Shen Xian warned. After hearing this, Miss Xiao hurriedly retracted her little hand and stuck out her tongue in frustration. It's so troublesome. You still have to disarm the magic traps before you can use the surrounding buildings. For the safety of the Mage Tower, ancient mages would set up magic traps in various unexpected places. Walls, floors, secret passages, books, and gems are always in danger. Presumably at the level of the elemental gate, if attacked by a magic trap, the damage suffered would be in the tens of thousands. Late at night. Bank. Today is a day of overtime work. As regional tasks are opened one after another, more and more players are exchanging cash. Of course, the bank handling business is extremely busy. The owner of an internet cafe named Lin in Beicheng, Jilin, requested batch processing. Xinjiang, Urumqi, branch needs server support. Taiwan, Hsinchu, the boss of a company named Chen requested special treatment. At the Kangda Bank headquarters in Shanghai, employees who stayed up late were screaming one after another. Although they looked tired, they still persisted in order to get overtime wages. Miss Xiao made a cup of coffee, crossed her legs and sat firmly on the swivel chair. While sipping the faint fragrance of the coffee, she looked at Shen Xian, who was working on the computer with a focused expression. She said with a proud look on her face, "It seems you are very busy." Of course, Shen Xian responded casually, entering the search information and looking for relevant information about the mission. In this era, playing online games to find information is essential, and game companies cannot prevent this phenomenon. This behavior destroys the balance of the game because NPCs cannot get information like players, but the helpless game company cannot solve it. Many players have expressed their opinions on the regional missions of the Pharaoh Empire. Although it is recognized that the Tower of Silence is the key to triggering the missions, the question is, which hateful player received the most critical step in the regional missions? Regional tasks refer to them in general, and may include task chains or task trees. They are two different structures. The former guides the plot development of the task, and the latter allocates the recipients of the task. Players play different roles in regional missions. They may be cannon fodder for the surface world to attack the underground world, or they may be the key to plot characters solving puzzles. Obviously, the rewards obtained by the two are completely different. Currently, near the city of Mauritius, Count Musk has issued a war mobilization order. In addition to accepting tens of thousands of resource contributions from players, to improve reputation, he also provides various training tasks, to improve level, exploration tasks, to obtain equipment, drawing. The mission is obviously welcomed by the majority of players. They enjoy the fun of management and construction and can also do some missions. Moreover, after the war mobilization order was issued, tens of thousands of players in the Mauritius area are not allowed to invade other people's territory in any form, which makes those who are worried about sneak attacks players are completely at ease. The dungeon is much more low-key. It seems that Barasa, the barbarian lord, did not respond at all, or that all the responses were swallowed up by someone. He suddenly discovered that there were almost no players in the underground world who accepted tasks related to regional tasks. Except for him who accepted the hero-level task, he didn't see any others. Or could it be that Barasa deliberately kept a low profile and was preparing to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger? Unexpectedly, it was late at night, and Shen Xian had a rough idea of the ground trip, and Shen Xian fell asleep. His head, which was leaning on the table, was hit by an unknown attack, and he slowly raised his head. Seeing Zhang Qingli's charming face looking down at him with a smile, Shen Xian was helpless. "Miss Xiao, what's the matter? Can you get up and talk?" "Well, it's not necessary. It's late at night and everyone is working hard. Let's not make it too loud." "But you are obviously trying to sleep," Miss Xiao thought to herself, lowering her voice. "Okay. Let me ask you, is there a way to quickly make me stronger?" "Without." Miss Xiao grabbed Shen Xian's clothes and shook them hard, thinking that you are obviously trying to deal with me. Isn't it a way to become stronger quickly with a few duels with the devil? It's a pity that it can no longer be used. Regardless of the busy schedule of the three leaders, the inability of the arena to meet the needs of high-level PK is also a key factor. Think about it, the damage output of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people by the Great Wizard in a snap of a finger, how can the thousands of lives in the arena bear it? In large-scale wars, high-end wizards are like strategic weapons that play a decisive role. If you want to continue to improve your strength, in addition to operation, you also need to be tempered on the battlefield, which is exactly what Miss Xiao lacks. Shen Xian glanced at her in a daze, thought about it, and felt that Miss Xiao had grown up well. Since she has the potential for development, it is more convenient to let her receive special training now that it is summer vacation. He entered the URL and entered the foreign web page with the evil religious emblem pattern, pointed to the text and said, "Do you understand it? It's in English, you should have passed the level 4 English. Use my account, I will pay for your tuition, you don't have to pay it back, just accept the special training on the website, and then you will be considered graduated. At that time, we will continue the second round of training tasks." Shen Xian fell asleep after speaking, and Miss Yao stared at the screen with a gloomy look. The British Night Castle website, a famous fantasy theory website, Myth Company consulted many experts on the website when developing Realm, and the strength of the website can be seen. Night Castle also has a set of professional training courses that have been circulated for more than 70 years, which will teach you to go from a fantasy rookie to a fantasy veteran within 30 days. What does the devil hate most in his life? What does the dwarf like to eat the most? What is the posture of the orc when he sleeps? Miss Yao read all kinds of strange questions, read the standard settings and history of the fantasy world, and try to remember them. To become a mage, it is not simply to become a fighting mage. Players can fight for fun, but fighting alone cannot enjoy all the fun. Mages are knowledgeable and curious. If you want to play a good mage, you must integrate into the role of a mage. There is no doubt that Miss Yao is studious. She was taught in elementary school to study hard and make progress every day and was full of enthusiasm for knowledge. Although she was unwilling to admit defeat in her heart, it did not mean that she did not recognize Shen Xian's advantages. There is no need to deny that Shen Xian is a hardcore player who is deeply addicted to the game world. However, it seems that he is not so addicted. At least, while enjoying the fun of the game, he also experiences real life. Miss Yao thought about it and thought a lot. She stared at the screen and continued to study. This is the first step of Shen Xian's master training plan, or the simplest step. It is only mental torture and has not yet affected the body. However, the specific content of the plan is unknown. It is only necessary to know that he has trained many strong men with the plan. For example, every year he will be dragged to the Crazy Demon Studio by Gu Jingwei for compulsory education. He will post some posts in the door about how masters are trained, in the name of lords and lords, and the content is related to the training plan. The scorching sun in the early morning enveloped Chen Cheng, and the next day came quietly. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 44. Pharaoh Empire, North, Moreas, Tavern. Players and NPCs came and went in the bustling tavern from time to time. Because of the conscription order, players were not allowed to bring followers into the city. In addition, Hobin's wanted order had not been revoked, so wizard apprentices should not appear in the territory of the Eye of Judgment. Therefore, only Shen Xian, Xiao Yunruo, and I, who were not thieves, entered here. Several drunken mercenaries passed by, arguing about something and fighting constantly. At this time, Miss Yao returned. "How is it?" Shen Xian asked after glancing around. "I received a task from the Secret Law Research Society, and the reward is the Lightning Force Field skill." Miss Yao opened the task scroll written on parchment. In addition to investigating the movements of the Red Robe, she could also accept the task of joining the Secret Law Research Society. The Secret Law Research Society and the Tower of Silence are different camps. Since the Tower of Silence is secretly plotting, the Secret Law Research Society has no reason to stand idly by. The Secret Law Research Society is relatively small and mainly studies non-combat magic, so it is very suitable for players of the life type. Players' professional skills rely on comprehension in the early stage and tasks in the middle stage. For example, Miss Yao now masters magic of 7 elemental factions and 6 general factions. In addition to being able to attack, she can also set up magic traps, expel elements, detect evil and other tasks. It takes a lot of effort to learn the remaining skills, such as Thunderstorm, Burning Rain, and even the forbidden spell magic lost in the Magic Era. There is a huge difference between factions. Unless you are a great wizard, you will choose to specialize. If you are involved in too many things, it will not only be difficult to improve your skill level, but also make your power reputation low. When you want to learn powerful magic in the later stage, you have to pay a high price. In the underground world, the desolate city 400 kilometers south of the Dusk Hills is a place where black knights and wizards appear. The two major forces in the city, the Black Blade Knights and the School of Spells, jointly manage the construction and development of the desolate city. The desolate city is a third-level system city second only to the Peak Fortress, and its strength is similar to that of Moria City. However, Shen Xian has not yet decided whether to inherit the power of the Black Knight. This means a complete break with the light and must throw himself into the dark world of demons and devils. Shen Xian and Xiao Yunruo waited, and the hooded girl did not attract much attention. Perhaps the players were busy fighting. Not long after, I am not a thief escaped back with a bruised face. Failed. I am not a thief nodded. Shen Xian asked me not to be a thief to enter the tavern in the city to spread rumors, but it did not work well. Maybe players don't trust thieves. After all, thieves have a bad reputation, and they have to be wary of their money bags at all times. Maybe it's a good idea to find an eloquent elf bard. I am not a thief hummed, yes, and some people said that they would rather stay in the city to do the task of sending intelligence than believe in the fictitious dungeon. Yes, who can ignore the temptation of the Tower of Silence? I neglected it, but can they really get a share? Shen Xian sighed. Don't worry, you will definitely get paid enough for you to leave Morius and start over in the Lost City, where thieves gather in the underground world. I heard that even thieves there keep their hands on their money bags all day long, Miss Xiao added. Is the theft rate so high there? Shen Xian laughed. At this time, there was a commotion on the wide road outside the tavern. Through the crowd, Shen Xian saw a neat and majestic team slowly moving southward in the north of the road. From time to time, players shouted in admiring voices, "The Holy Inquisition Knights! The Holy Inquisition Knights!" In Moria City, in addition to the quietly dormant Silver Hand, a thieves' guild that can find out everything as long as you have money, even what underwear the local city lord is wearing and whether he is dating a lover. The rest are the Holy Inquisition Knights, one of the 8 Knights of the Eye of Judgment. The Holy Inquisition Knights have a staff of 80,000, and all the members are first-class white knights. Their armor does not have the dazzling luster of metal, but it has the supreme glory and devout faith of the knights. Accompanied by the billowing smoke and dust, the white knights riding tall horses lined up in an orderly team and gradually approached. They exuded a sacred breath, which made Shen Xian, who had evil characteristics, feel very stuffy. Finally, no one noticed the darkness in the corner, and everyone was paying attention to the movements of the knights. Behind the white knights, the Holy Flame Mage holding the pure fragment walked slowly, followed by Count Mask riding a flying dragon, and the following player army. Only players who can make friends with the Holy Inquisition Knights are eligible to accept related tasks. In addition to the Tower of Silence, Count Mask, who belongs to the Northern Church, is obviously planning a conspiracy to steal the treasure. Compared with the Tower of Silence, the iron hoofs of the Holy Inquisition Knights can easily step into the dark territory, using religious beliefs and the advantages of the army. This is their trump card for victory. The player who led the white priests and the junior soldiers seemed to be in high spirits. Perhaps he had received an elite-level mission, and he could not suppress his excitement. He greeted the pedestrians on both sides of the road from time to time, even though he was a poor beggar in real life. As expected. When the players in the surface world pay attention to the regional missions, their vigilance will be minimized. Although it is unknown what Haben's gains are, Shen Xian believes that he will never return empty-handed. Somewhere in the west of Morius, the ruins of a village. Haben looked around the ruins vigilantly. Because they were being hunted, the Church of the Judgment of Heretics was likely to order elite forces to wait here. The killings dozens of days ago had already ended. In the square in the center of the village, several charred bodies were hung on the cross. Under the cold wind, it looked extremely bleak and sad. Innocent villagers, rebellious hunters, and Haben's relatives and friends. The faces of the bodies were distorted before death, as if waiting for a miracle, but the miracle did not happen. Death took their souls away and transferred them to the underworld, waiting for a new life after death. Haben clenched his fists, but after a long time, he let go. Finding Catherine is important, but where is her fiancé? Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 45. Morius, this quiet city has become very lively because of the regional mission. On the streets, people are selling weapons and buying and selling potions. Lords from far and near lead their armies and announce that they will join the expedition, preparing to attack the underground and gain glory and praise. In the tavern, Shen Xian is drinking dark beer slowly. Xiao Yunruo tapped the wooden table with her slender fingers impatiently, counting numbers boredly, and asked in a low voice, "Aren't you anxious? Or, are you confident?" He thought for a while and shook his head, "I don't know. This mission was originally clueless. I'm not a thief and lost contact with the Silver Hand. Now we can only hope for Haben himself." While speaking, "I'm not a thief" stepped into the tavern. The bruises on his face had not disappeared, and he looked depressed. He limped to the front of the two people, sat down gently, and whispered, "I failed again." Shen Xian was silent. Seeing his pitiful appearance, he found that "I'm not a thief" was really unlucky. "I didn't ask for information and was beaten again." The result of the fact was no different from what he guessed. "I'm not a thief" got nothing. Shen Xian sat quietly and continued to wait. After a few minutes, the swordsman in a black coat came here. He informed Shen Xian that Haben had found Catherine's whereabouts. According to the swordsman's explanation, Catherine was imprisoned in Bansai Prison, a historic religious prison 20 kilometers north of Moria City. Because it was inappropriate to send troops to rescue Catherine, Shen Xian asked 20 swordsmen and 20 wizard apprentices to level up in the Dusk Forest in the north of Morius, and then brought Miss Xiao, "I am not a thief," and Haben to the frozen town where Bansai Prison was located. The population of Frozen Town is 3,000, the territory is prosperous, and life is rich. For hundreds of years, the villagers here have been devout believers of the Eye of Judgment, so they have been rewarded by the Grand Inquisitor Goro. Bansai Prison, not far from Frozen Town, is famous for imprisoning religious criminals. It is a paradise for blasphemers and pagans. Although the rumors are full of horror and blood, in fact, in peacetime, it is not as terrible as people imagine. There are 1,000 believers of the Eye of Judgment stationed in Bansai Prison. According to Goro, this is to let the believers experience the ignorance and evil of heresy, to be able to accept the test of will here, and to become the backbone of the Eye of Judgment after they go out and hold important positions. Therefore, the believers here are not strong, but they are extremely pious and difficult to be influenced. In the tavern, a strange dwarf attracted them. After understanding, they found out that this Greek player named Kratos was here to do a task. Dwarfs are shorter than dwarves, their bodies are not as strong as dwarves, and their brains are very flexible. They are suitable for being mages. Kratos came here to rescue an NPC. He began to tell about his mission. It turned out that when Kratos was strolling here, he found a mysterious parchment in the stream flowing through the frozen town, with the word "help" written on it. Opening the parchment, it turned out that the person who asked for help was trapped in Bansai Prison and needed to go through the underground waterway to enter the relatively lax underground. The prisoner promised that if he could be rescued, he would be rewarded handsomely. The scroll in Kratos's hand radiated star-like brilliance in the darkness. It was written with moonlight ink. Except for the famous nobles and great wizards, it was rare to see this expensive ink appearing in the outside world. Hearing the requirements of the task, it turned out that when rescuing the mysterious man, it was necessary to carry some special potion, which required shadow flowers, magic silver stones and other rare materials to be refined. After checking the formula, Miss Xiao, who was proficient in magic, thought for a moment and said, "This seems to be a medicine for treating physical diseases." Kratos nodded his head and agreed, "Yeah. I thought so too, so I accepted the task. I didn't expect you to rescue the prisoners too, it's really rare." They had the same goal, so they began to discuss the rescue plan. Open the taskbar. Because of the clues to the task, the reward of the task was clearly marked with a reward of 5,000 experience, and the difficulty was corrected to elite level. During the internal test, Shen Xian completed a total of 14 elite tasks and failed 3 times. It can be seen that the difficulty of elite tasks is indeed very high. In addition to the game level, adequate preparation is also very important. Fortunately, Kratos has a brief map of Bansai Prison, which marks the route of the patrol guards, the regional division of the cells and other useful information. In Bansai Prison, the weakest is the level 20 Discipline Monk, and the strongest is the level 45 Ascetic Monk. Discipline Monk, level 20, Health 1500, Magic 600, Attack 350, Defense 200, Skills Law, Punishment. Ascetic Monk, level 45, First Turn, Health 10,000, Magic 4200, Attack 1000, Defense 400. Underground Waterway. Several swift earth dogs swept across the ground and disappeared in the darkness in the distance. Several people walked in the damp and cold underground waterway, with mosses and vines on both sides, dirty wastewater flowing through the muddy road, making a hissing sound, and the surroundings were very quiet, and even a little scary. "Kratos, are you sure there is no problem with this road?" Shen Xian looked around the complex underground waterway and asked carefully. "Of course. It is inappropriate to question Kratos's choice," the short Kratos said in a hoarse voice, scanned the map in his hand, hummed, lowered his head and took out the dwarf's special explosive oil from the package, shook it in the air, and threw it out with force. With a rumbling sound, a gap was blown open at the intersection of the underground waterway, and the rusty iron fence was twisted and distorted. Several people walked in quickly, looking around vigilantly, ready to deal with the battle that might happen at any time. The barking of local dogs came from all around, and the sound gradually became clearer. Xiao Yunruo hummed softly, silently chanting spells in the dark, and several sharp ice cones flew in. Like a crossbow arrow shot from a bed crossbow, the indestructible ice cones instantly hit the local dogs, penetrated their skin, muscles, shattered their bones, and finally nailed them to the mud wall. Kratos raised the oil lamp, lit it with fireball, illuminated the miserable appearance of the local dogs, and whispered, "It's not good for girls to do this." Then he used the light to search around and find the exit of the waterway. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 46. Under the dim light, in the intricate underground waterways, ferocious beasts would harass you from time to time. Fortunately, Bansai Prison is the territory of the Eye of Judgment, and there are no undead or demons here. Entering the underground waterway, the scenery on both sides turned into damaged ancient walls. I don't know when they were built, revealing the atmosphere of the years. What came into view were green moss, muddy roads, and the dripping sewage at the top of the channel. Because Kratos' map was obtained, the prison status in the map bar is always open. However, the map will be updated at any time. If a special event occurs, causing the building to collapse or the terrain to change, the map will need to be redrawn. They walked along the road for several minutes without encountering any terrible beasts. Suddenly, Kratos stopped. He looked forward, confusion on his face. "What's going on?" Shen Qian asked. The map deceived Kratos, he replied angrily, pointing to the wall directly in front of him, rolled up the map and stuffed it into the package. "Dead end," Miss Xiao said to herself, waved her staff, and recited the spell to detect magic. The power of magic penetrated the wall, and surprisingly, there was nothing behind the wall except dirt. It turns out that things bought with gold are not reliable at all. They complained that the guy who sold Kratos the map could only move forward based on feeling. The underground waterway was not a maze. It took some time to get out of it. Although they encountered some twists and turns on the way, they still passed through it and arrived underground in the prison 10 minutes later. Under the prison, fishy sewage flows out of the drainage ditch, and a disgusting smell is everywhere. A strong iron fence separates the underground waterway from Ban's prison, which becomes the final test to enter here. The plan was to sneak in so they couldn't make any noise, so they talked quietly and watched the goings-on inside the prison through the bars. Ban's prison. The surface part of Bansai prison is solemn and solemn. White statues of gods with different expressions, lifelike creation reliefs, weak divine power permeating the air, and various beautiful scenes decorate the place into a holy world, full of holiness and light. In contrast, the underground part is full of weird and mysterious atmosphere. The iron fences engraved with magic patterns, the mithril locks that imprison mana, the angry roars of criminals, and the righteous judgment of believers, all kinds of horrific scenes constitute a terrifying place like hell. Underground part. Several monks wearing light golden robes knelt on the ground half-kneeling, chanting Myrindal's hymn. This ritual is prescribed by doctrine and expresses their belief in the gods. On their chests are painted the unique symbol of the Eye of Judgment. Emblem, one eye that can see evil. Seeing this situation, Shen Qian frowned. A level 20 monk looks difficult to deal with. Then, he calculated the monk's attack method and considered possible countermeasures. Here in Kratos, the mage and thief discovered the magic trap on the iron fence. Several people took turns using their skills to prepare to open a passage on the iron fence. Of course you can't use explosive oil here, otherwise wouldn't everyone know about it? 3 minutes later, the magic trap was dismantled. Considering that Kratos was weak, Shen Qian decided to help him first. Shen Qian has his own considerations. Even though Kratos is an ordinary player who is like a shitty lucky player who receives a hidden mission, after careful observation, it can be found that his operations and consciousness are far beyond ordinary people. Let's talk about the preparation first. Not only did he consider the map, potions, and food carefully, he also prepared a large number of magic scrolls just in case. In terms of operation, his fighting method is very rigid and mechanical, but it is quite stable, and the intervals of magic attacks are controlled. Every second is accurate. In my memory, there seems to be no Greek player with such strength. Could it be that he is a newly emerging player? The underground part of Bansai prison has 4 floors. NPCs are imprisoned on the 4th underground floor, and Catherine is imprisoned on the 1st underground floor. Generally speaking, the poor are imprisoned on the 4th underground floor and receive the cruelest punishment. The 1st underground floor is imprisoned. Nobles enjoy generous treatment. But it's strange. Since the NPC is imprisoned on the 4th floor underground, why can he still promise rewards? Although everyone didn't believe it, thinking about the parchment written with moonlight ink, they guessed that it might be a certain archmage who had been framed. Maybe you can get a lost legendary weapon. You know, the mission system of Kingdom is very flexible. If you participate in the mission, you may still get paid even if you don't accept it. The second point Shen Qian considered was to be able to get something from the NPC. Since Kratos didn't object anyway, what was he worried about? When a few people sneaked into the prison, they killed several discipline monks as quickly as possible and gained temporary safety silently. When the outside world discovers the movement in the prison, it will probably have to wait until the next wave of patrol guards. The time difference in between will be enough for them to rescue the NPC. Cell number 73, 4th floor underground. The criminals who can survive in Bansai prison are all NPCs with level 20 or above. In the eyes of the Empire's big shots, they are weak. But here, they are definitely the best. But if you want to leave here, you don't have the strength of level 60. Possible. There has always been a rumor in Bansai prison that there is a mysterious criminal in cell 73 on the 4th underground floor who has lived in the prison for 200 years. Despite being beaten, starved, and tortured, he has not shown any signs of injury or aging. When the criminals on the 4th underground floor were released or died, the mysterious criminal in cell 73 gradually became a mystery. What kind of prisoner lived there? Maybe he is an elf? Almost everyone thinks so. To everyone's surprise, they thought that this mysterious criminal would never leave here. When night fell, they found that the sturdy wooden door was opened and several extremely vicious jailbreakers broke in and wanted to rescue him. Cell 73, this is the address where the NPC sent a call for help. When they entered the cell, a burst of stench hit them. What caught their eyes was a middle-aged man with a sloppy beard, short black hair and a tattered vest. The man was burly and muscular, and his eyes were like flames. Shen Xian subconsciously checked his level. Level 30. Seeing everyone enter, the man shouted, "Damn it," but suddenly stopped, looked at everyone with a little hesitation, and found that they were wearing black cloaks. Realizing something, he laughed wildly, "You can go out, haha. Damn prison, I want to destroy this place." The man laughed wildly, not caring about the existence of enemies outside. "Did you bring the Spinger restoration potion? I asked you to prepare 3 liters, it shouldn't be less." Kratos walked to the front, stuffed the heavy water bag behind him into the man's hand, took out the sheepskin scroll, and said, "Ready, Mr. Amontanus." It turned out that the man's name was Amontanus. Taking the water bag, the man nodded, "I will repay you after I go out." Then he opened the water bag and drank it. 1 minute later, in the surprised eyes of everyone, the man quickly drank up the thing called Spinger Restoration Potion in the water bag, and then looked at his level again. The system returned to level 45. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 47. Can you tell me what happened? Lord Amontanus Kratos asked, obviously noticing the change in the man's level just like Shen Xian. Unexpectedly, the man stretched out his strong arm and touched the wizard's peaked hat on his head, blinked and replied, "Little guy, haven't you figured it out yet? Or are you an unqualified wizard apprentice? Don't worry, Lord Amontanus will make you smarter." The man grinned and laughed, glanced at everyone, and spread his hands. "Okay, no matter what, the promise will not be violated, but you see I have nothing on my body, shouldn't you give me some clothes?" Amontanus's eyes fell on Shen Xian. Among the few people, his figure was the closest to the man. Looking at Shen Xian, the man stretched out his hand with a slightly arrogant look, not intentional, and looked like it was born. Shen Xian searched for the package. There was no space ring setting in Realm, so he didn't carry a lot of equipment. He easily found a white shirt and handed it to Amontanus. The man took it and showed gratitude, and then put it on. "I think we should go now." "Wait, we still need to save people." "I see. I understand." Amontanus glanced at Shen Xian, showing an expression that I can understand, turned around and patted Kratos' head, and helped him put on his hat. "Damn it, please don't touch the mage's head." Casually Kratos held the brim of his hat and muttered softly, "Really? Little guy. Anyway, dwarfs who can get the friendship of Amontanus will accept such etiquette." Kratos expressed his understanding, but still drooped his head and looked very reluctant. Several people laughed and began to sneak into the first underground floor. Fortunately, the monks of discipline who were killed left their robes intact. Relying on the robes, they can easily pass through the heavily guarded underground part and reach the first underground floor to rescue Catherine. Unfortunately, the robes are ordinary level, without any attributes, and the appearance is gorgeous, but it is useless. The current system of Bansai prison is extremely strange. The patrol guards do not have the cell keys in their hands. Therefore, if they want to rescue the prisoners, they must destroy the cell door with a health value of 400. The patrol guards that passed by were all composed of 3 discipline monks, 1 white knight and 1 ascetic monk. With their current strength, it is questionable whether they can win, let alone kill silently. However, they are all elite players, and they are very rich in courage and experience. Even if I am not a thief, I have been immersed in the game for more than 10 years. In such an occasion, it is difficult to make mistakes. Amontana seems to be very familiar with the teachings of Mirandar. He keeps saying God is fair and God is watching you. He is still calm and easy to deal with the interrogation of the patrol guards, but when he turns around and leaves, he starts to insult damn Mirandar's lackeys. Shen Xian can't help but become more and more curious about Amontanes's identity, but it is Kratos who should be curious. After all, he received the mission of Amontanes. The answer to the mystery has not been revealed yet, but Shen Xian has already noticed something. He tried to adapt himself to the surging power of Amontanes while smiling without saying anything. As for I am not a thief, I haven't found it yet. I kept a confused look and tried to perceive it, but unfortunately I failed. I am not a thief, can't you act more normal? Miss Xiao stared at him fiercely, with a threatening tone. Oh, I am not a thief. Found out that it was night and day, and I was a little scared. After all, the memory of being interrogated made him unforgettable. Thinking of the tall figure of night and day, he felt like he was standing in front of a dragon and couldn't move. He stood up straight. Continuing forward, 3 minutes later, they crossed the stairs and came to the underground first floor. The light here was much brighter than the underground 4th floor. There were luxurious amber walls everywhere, and on the walls were the painter's handed-down oil paintings. In the corners of the corridor, the exquisite vases were placed with the flowing vases of the mysterious country, and the silver-made weapon racks were arranged with classical weapons. The treatment that only the nobles could enjoy made Amontanes's eyes red. However, Amontanes's eyes were originally red, Shen Xian thought secretly. Oh my God, your friend is imprisoned here, he said jealously, looked around, stretched out his hand and groaned, with an extremely envious expression. It took 4 minutes to pass through the corridors, gardens, and terraces that sank into the ground, not because they encountered a crisis, but because Amontanes particularly liked the scenery in front of him. Underground 1st floor, cell 3. Just looking at the furnishings here, you would never think that this would be a cell. Catherine, with a calm expression, sat on a chair carved from beechwood, and opposite her stood a mysterious silver-robed wizard. The wizard wore a silver-colored metal robe with red and blue patterns, a devil statue carved from black agate tied around his waist, gemstone gauntlets engraved with a hexagram, and green dragon skin boots to protect his feet. The mysterious silver-robed wizard's face could not be seen clearly, as if in a psychedelic smoke. Catherine, are you still unwilling to leave? You know, Mask of Morius can't stop me. But I still want to wait for Huo Ben to find me. Aren't you afraid that he will abandon you? No. Catherine bit her lip and shook her head firmly. The silver-robed wizard heard it and walked a few steps in the room helplessly. After a moment, he suddenly stopped, his standing figure like an immortal statue. His expression and behavior revealed waves of pressure. With a relaxed look, the silver-robed wizard said calmly, "It's okay, I'm leaving too. In order not to cause trouble, I'd better leave early." The silver-robed wizard finally looked back at Catherine and reminded her, the person you are waiting for is coming soon. I will be back in a few days." After that, his figure gradually dissipated, as if it disappeared without a trace like a magic illusion. Outside, a Montana sniffed and slowed down his pace. "It seems that there is the breath of a strong man." He waited, but soon, muttered leaving. Then he continued to move forward. Several people came to the door of the cell. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 48. The cell door was ajar, as if they knew someone was coming. Several people entered quietly with questions and saw Catherine in the bright room. In Shen Xian's opinion, Catherine and Miss Erlin were the same type of girls, gentle, quiet, beautiful and charming. I thought that Hobben's description of her was one-sided, and that it was the eyes of the lover that showed beauty. Only after seeing it with my own eyes did I know that it was not the case. In fact, Hobben could have such a good fortune and was favored by the beauty. Even Shen Xian was a little jealous. When she saw Hobben, Catherine was obviously a little out of control. She hesitated and couldn't believe that the Silver Robe Wizard's instructions had become a reality. She was still stunned, but her body couldn't help but drive her to rush to him. Kratos looked at the scene in front of him, touched his head, and wondered in his heart, why can't Kratos take such a task? Looking at Amontanus, the dwarf wizard stuck out his tongue, but saw Amontanus turned back and smiled strangely at him. "Oh my god, the level has been raised again, level 60, is Lord Amontanus really that strong?" Kratos thought again. "I am not a thief" was indifferent. He knew the content of the task. He sighed and thought that he could finally get out of the sea of suffering. Thinking of the new adventure in the underground world Lost City, he was a little expectant and worried, and stood there blankly. His thoughts were quickly interrupted by Miss Xiao. "When I am not a thief" was fantasizing about the wonderful adventure plan. Miss Xiao and Kratos discovered that there were special magic traps in Catherine's cell. These magic traps not only cause great damage, but also notify the warden of the prison. The wizard who set the trap is of a high level and it is difficult to dismantle it. After several attempts, the power of magic was swallowed by the trap. They dared not act rashly without information and could only ask for help from I Am Not a Thief. When I Am Not a Thief used skills, gray energy ripples appeared in many places on the walls and prison doors, showing traces of the existence of magic traps. After finding the magic trap, the rest of the things became easy. Don't forget that Kratos and Shen Xian both brought magic scrolls, which are perfect for such occasions. 7 or 8 scrolls were thrown out, and the traps set near the cell were cleared. Tips: mission completed, experience gained 5,000, Hobben's favorability increased, and Catherine's favorability increased. At this time, the system sent a prompt that the mission was completed. Does it mean that Catherine can be taken away from Bansai prison? He had a new question in his mind. Catherine and Hobben slowly parted ways. Thinking that the night was long, it was better to leave here quickly. At the same time, she said to Shen Xian, "Let's leave early." Shen Xian nodded knowingly, then closed the cell door, and everyone walked back. On the way, Hobben told Catherine about what happened in the past few days, and Shen Xian finally understood what happened. It turned out that when Count Musk suggested that the Eye of Judgment pursue Hobben, Catherine's father Oberk was also imprisoned. Catherine, who was in the Ironstone Fortress, had no way to escape, so she followed Musk here. She didn't know her father's situation. The only thing she knew was that Count Musk took her away not just to occupy her. Several people crossed the stairs and returned to the prison underground, but just as they were about to leave, a mysterious figure blocked them. In front of him was a sturdy middle-aged man, his body was tightly protected by ivory knight armor, and through the warrior helmet with barbs like devil horns, 2 sharp eyes shot out. He used a slender lance burning like a flame, and a fine iron shield with a blood lion emblem on it. If it weren't for his strong power, he would never be able to use it like this. The middle-aged man's name is Riverson, level 75, with a health value of about 150,000, and his profession is Night Lord. This is all that can be learned through the thief's observation skills. Riverson looked down at them with an indifferent look, his expression arrogant. You poor guys, don't you know? So far, everyone who wanted to leave here has died, and you will be no exception. The lance in his hand was slowly raised, and the wind was dancing, rolling up waves of violent roars. Riverson was the warden of Bansai prison. When Shen Xian was investigating the prison and preparing to rescue Catherine, he had already known it. The Night Lord is a special profession with both offensive and defensive capabilities. There is no weakness except for the slow speed. However, his opponent today is not Shen Xian, but Amontanus. Amontanus clenched his fists and was eager to try. He said, "Damn it, I'm going to let you taste the taste of my fist." He slowly approached and attacked with force. Damn 3,000, the number floated from Riverson's head. So, Amontanese's attack power is at least 5,000 or more. At this time, Riverson sneered contemptuously, raised his hand to signal, and several fully armed white knights rushed out. "Haha, you go first, I haven't fought enough." Amontanus volunteered to shout. Shen Xian asked Kratos if his rescue mission had been completed, and the answer he got was no. Sure enough, the mission to rescue Catherine had been completed. The system had no reason to spawn new enemies. Riverson's target was obviously Amontanus, so he was relieved. They continued to flee through the underground waterway. Here, Amontanus calmly swung his iron fist again and again, beating Riverson back continuously. "You are not human," Riverson shouted in horror, retreating backwards. Several holy flames rushed to his opponent's body, burning continuously. The white shirt instantly became fragmented. Amontanus roared, and the holy flames all over his body exploded and splashed in all directions. "You only know it now? But it's too late. I said I would destroy this place." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 49. It took 4 minutes to leave the underground waterway. Shen Xian was caught by the White Knight. The fully armed White Knight was level 45, which was as powerful as a boss compared to their average level of 20. I took the time to check Catherine's attributes, which were as follows. Catherine, level 40, Elite, Spellbinder, Health 6000, Magic 5000, Attack 600, Defense 500. Spellbinders are special professions that can use forbidden magic rituals. Rumor has it that they rarely appear on the mainland, but I didn't expect to see them here. However, Shen Xian was not familiar with the fighting style of spellbinders, so he didn't order Catherine to cooperate forcibly. He just thought that Haben's level was lower than Catherine, which was a bit strange. Open the barrier aura, Shen Xian stayed behind, not because he was willing to do so, but because he saw that the health of one of the White Knights on the other side was almost gone. When they entered the Dusk Forest, they met up with 20 swordsmen and 20 wizard apprentices, and found the dark passage leading to the underground world, and then they would be safe. When advancing, Shen Xian and Haben adopted the tactic of fighting to attract the attack of the White Knight, while Xiao Yunruo, Kratos, and Catherine used control skills, such as Ice Ring and Paralysis. After changing his job to Blade Dancer, Haben was able to use 2 short swords, which was somewhat similar to the Storm Dancer of the Barbarians and the Double Blade Ranger of the Dark Elves, all of which relied on attack speed to win. The White Knights were wearing heavy armor and holding guns as their main attack. They were slow and difficult to dodge Haben's attacks, but in the face of the huge gap in levels, they were not at all weak. In a blink of an eye, the mutual chase lasted for 2 minutes. With the cooperation of the two, the White Knight had to return empty-handed. Here, Amontanus, After taking the Springer Restoration Potion, his level was restored to 60. With tens of thousands of HP, he was evenly matched with Riverson, and as time went on, his attack became more and more terrible, accompanied by bursts of whistling red flames and rolling corrosive acid. In an instant, most of the buildings were destroyed. Several monks rushed forward with flails in hand without hesitation. The weapons infused with holy light hit his body with a metallic sound, blood flowed out, and slowly, his skin began to change. After the burnt skin was broken, pieces of shiny black scales were exposed. Whether it was magic or fighting spirit, as long as it hit the black scales, it would immediately lose its effect. Magic immunity, Riverson sucked in a breath of cold air, raised his lance, and began to attack with divine power. Amontanus wiped his mouth and said confidently, "Well said, but unfortunately you have no chance." Then they fought fiercely, and the two high-level NPCs collided with each other like a gladiatorial fight. Thousands of injuries continued to float over their heads, and the weak monks around were involved in the battle formation and turned into meat paste in an instant. The stone buildings could not withstand the fierce attack. The walls collapsed one after another, the roofs shattered layer by layer, and the whole building was crumbling. Half a minute later, a black figure rushed into the night sky. Amidst the roars, Amontanus finally returned to his original form, a black dragon. With a wingspan of more than 20 meters and a body length of more than 30 meters, he swept across the land, exhaled endless dragon flames and acid, and began to retaliate against Banzai prison. If he had not been hit by the solidification transformation spell, if he had not been arrested as a heretic, he would not have been trapped here for 200 years. Several disciplined monks were killed in an instant, and several passing players were burned to death by dragon breath. The boundless anger of the black dragon completely dyed the night sky of Bingfeng Town red, and many players even turned on the camera function to record this unforgettable experience. Riverson was not dead yet. On the contrary, after Amontanus turned into a black dragon, he did not suffer any serious injuries. He had an immortal life like a cockroach, but he had to face the anger of the black dragon and could not have the slightest intention of retreating because he adhered to the doctrine. When hundreds of houses in Banzai prison had consumed hundreds of thousands of health points, Amontanus rushed to the dusk forest, ready to meet Kratos. What no one could have imagined was that Rifsun led hundreds of Judgment Eye soldiers, followed the black dragon's shadow, and quietly rushed here. In the dusk forest, the pursuit was temporarily stopped. 3 white knights died heroically because they held the doctrine. Shen Xian paid 2 bottles of secondary life potion and 2 opportunities to release level 4 magic. Of course, Miss Xiao also made a contribution, but the last blow was still grabbed by the experienced Shen Xian. The 45-level white knight must have rich experience. Whether it is life or attack, equipment, or skills, it has an absolute advantage. In such a battle with a huge gap, after winning, experience will be added. Shen Xian is level 17, Xiao Yunruo is level 22, Haben is level 26, and Catherine is level 40. Kratos is level 20, but it's a pity that he is not Shen Xian's subordinate. Now, what Shen Xian wanted to do most was to return to the underground. Since Catherine was safe and sound, there was no need to stay here any longer. "Lord, Catherine wants to report something." Haben and Catherine walked up to Shen Xian and said. Shen Xian looked up and asked, "Well, what is it?" "It's about the Tower of Silence. I think the Lord will be very interested." Yes, Shen Xian was indeed worried about the heroic mission of the Tower of Silence. He didn't know when it could be completed. Logically, the evidence was sufficient, but why was there no mission prompt? The main lack of key evidence, such as letters from prominent figures and secret letters issued by the kingdom, were very convincing. Count Mask said that the purpose of the Tower of Silence is for some lost treasures. It seems that it was notified by Archmage Saran, the head of the Red Robe Force in Moria City. However, Saran is currently missing, so the Eye of Judgment is also investigating this matter. When Catherine finished telling the story, the heroic mission came into action, the mission goal was achieved, and you can try to reply to Barossa. Shen Xian exhaled, thinking that perhaps the regional mission was really about to be opened, and then he saw a Montanus slowly falling from the sky. You are not surprised? A Montanus glanced at Shen Xian, jokingly said, took out a beautiful book, handed it over and explained that it was a reward for helping him. Construction Engineering. Shen Xian saw the cover of the book and showed surprise on his face. Construction Engineering, Technology, 1 hour, increase the upper limit of the health of the building by 10%, a total of 10 levels. Hard work pays off. Construction Engineering is a general skill book, which is similar to military training and can improve the overall attributes of the building. The effect is very obvious. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 50. After the assembly center is upgraded to the village center, the hometown has 5,000 health points. Considering the level 10 construction project, the total health points will be 10,000. At that time, siege weapons will not be able to easily destroy this place, let alone ordinary soldiers with low attack power. Kratos got a glimmering green stone, which can increase the silent and instant chance of magic. This is a gem that is very suitable for mages. However, compared with the wealth of the Black Dragon, these rewards seem insignificant. When Shen Xian was about to go home, the inferior demon reported that an army appeared in the distance. Can't escape. We are surrounded. Have you found the nearest dark passage? Yes, 300 meters southwest. Just when Kratos and Shen Xian were about to ask a Montanus for help to hold on, the Black Dragon laughed and shook his head. Don't look at me, Lord, are the soldiers you brought just for show? Shen Xian thought, of course they are just for show. Not to mention the level, the difference in equipment alone is enough for the Eye of Judgment to maintain its advantage. Although night battles are beneficial to the underground world, he is powerless in the face of absolute power. The few people who were resting moved forward quickly under the leadership of the inferior demon who had obtained intelligence. The surroundings were brightly lit, and there were many people from the Church of the Eye of Judgment who came to hunt them down. Even the local players' army received temporary tasks issued by the church forces, ready to earn reward experience and reputation. The branches of regional tasks are not so easy to accept. On the contrary, temporary tasks are cost-effective due to special reasons. In all directions, under the effect of the holy mage's glimmer, the night turned into day. Looking around, there were more than 400 people heading towards this place with firm faith. Several level 50 crystal giant bears pounced, but they struggled for a moment under the joint attack of the chasing army. Because the monks and demon hunters were all quick-moving, the slow-moving wizard apprentices were quickly caught up. The hunter guild to which the demon hunters belonged was a branch of the justice god system. They were good at fighting demons. Several inferior demons that did not have time to escape easily dissipated in the holy light. Then, the hunters who learned that they could get rich rewards by capturing the Black Dragon showed interested expressions. Needless to say, the value of the dragon, dragon blood, dragon skin, no matter what items, can be sold for tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of gold, not to mention an adult dragon. Although the dragon's combat power is extremely strong, it will take at least several months to recover the lost level after being hit by the solidification transformation spell. Driven by interests, the Witcher sang "Justice gives me strength" and rushed over fearlessly. At this time, Shen Xian and most of the army were still entangled with the players. It was not that he was bored, but he felt that there was an opportunity. On the 300-meter road leading to the dark passage, there were countless bushes and thorns, and the movement was slow. Several players ordered their swordsmen to charge, but unfortunately they were surrounded by the little fire demons. Setting fire is a good tactic. There is no need to comply with environmental protection regulations in Realm, not to mention that the little fire demons are naturally proficient in this way. Demons with evil characteristics really like to destroy and destroy. The hot flames spread everywhere, and the swordsmen with few lives were burned to death one after another. Several players who saw the bad situation wanted to escape, but were also killed by Shen Xian's lightning arrows. The Witcher and the ascetic used special protective gear with magical power, which would not be affected by the forest fire, and continued to hunt down the countless demons left behind. Several swordsmen and wizard apprentices were also killed. In the face of the huge gap, losses were inevitable. Montanus released dragon language magic slowly, and several layers of clearly visible magic circles instantly burst out with boundless power, cleansing the earth for a whole day. 3 minutes later, Shen Xian felt that he had killed almost all the enemies, so he took a detour to meet Kratos in the dark passage, but rivers chased him relentlessly and arrived with the ascetics. All believers who adhere to the doctrine of purity and piety can become ascetics. They use simple material life to sharpen themselves and test themselves in front of Yuan. Although their equipment is rubbish, they can obtain divine power to protect their bodies. The glory of Myrindal is everywhere, Riverson said coldly. He raised his lance and stabbed the black dragon. The ascetics behind him released the holy seals one after another, used the power of the gods to protect themselves, raised the flail and began to charge head-on. In front, the inferior demons blocking the road were swept into meat paste by the solid flail, and the little fire demons behind turned and retreated because of fear of the sacred power. The shadow arrow hit the holy shield protecting the body, and the ascetic trembled and continued to attack. The Witcher was behind them, looking for opportunities to finish off the enemy at any time. The gap was too big, and with so many people, Shen Xian carefully let the low-level wizard apprentices and swordsmen retreat into the dark passage, waiting for the opportunity to observe and wait for the opportunity. People were to be killed, and it would be foolish to leave the level 60 of Lord Black Dragon unused. The situation was very chaotic, with skill effects all over the sky and damage numbers all over the eyes. Shen Xian had to keep a low profile to prevent being taken care of. After Miss Yao received special training from the Knight's Fortress, she understood her opponents more and more fully, and knew a little about the weaknesses of both the ascetic monks and the Witcher. I am not a thief who fled in panic. Who told the thief that the battlefield performance was not good? It is better to lose your life than to have experience. With the help of the green stone, Kratos can use the mage's expertise, silent and instant magic. Silent means that magic can be released after being silenced, and instant means that it can be released directly without chanting spells. Haben and Shen Xian's protection was very thoughtful, so he didn't have to worry about his back at all. The only thing Shen Xian felt was that there was no nanny in the territory. If there was a nanny, would he still have to hide? Catherine's lips moved slightly, and she uttered the mysterious magic forbidden technique word by word. Several grey mists covered the body of the Witcher, and the enchanted equipment immediately lost its effect. Montanus led Rivers to fight and kill, and the Warden had no intention of leaving. High-level fighting spirit suddenly burst out from the top of the lance, and countless golden sparks bloomed, sweeping around the passage, shaking the earth and rocks, and shaking the earth. It was indeed terrible. Shen Xian felt that if it weren't for Montanus, Catherine would not be able to resist such a terrible guy, but what he didn't know was that Rivers's purpose of chasing him was not simply for the Black Dragon. Riverson's comrades gradually became fewer and fewer, some got lost, some stumbled. The intricate underground world belongs to the dark territory, which is not easy for mortals to invade. The Black Dragon slowed down his pace and noticed that the Warden's helpers were getting fewer and fewer. How could he not want to kill him? A few punches hit the solid shield, and the terrible force that metal could not bear made the shield dent and deform. The number of damage 3,100 floated out, and Kratos behind him also joined in the fun. Unfortunately, except for the magic scroll, ordinary spells were useless. The Night Lord not only had excellent physical defense, but also excellent magic defense, which was not something Kratos's three-legged magic could deal with. Even the magic stored in Loyal's crystal core could only cause 30% damage, which showed Riverson's strength.